Space is full of mysteries. Let's talk about the moon, our closest space buddy. It might have some amazing secrets. Get set, because today we're going to explore strange stuff on the moon, what astronauts couldn't explain in space, and the idea that there's life from other places in space. In this video, we look into the moon's mysteries, like weird moon things, astronaut sightings in space, and the thought of life from other planets on the moon. From odd moon buildings to puzzling sky stuff, get ready for an adventure into the unknown, and we won't skip any moon mysteries. Stick around until the end, where we'll answer old questions and share cool ideas. Join us in discovering the moon's secrets and maybe even the universe. You'll be eager to learn more, and your imagination will soar. And who knows, you might see something amazing in the night sky. Lunar anomalies and extraterrestrial encounters. The moon, Earth's friend in space, has always made us wonder. Although empty and lonely, people talk about strange things in possible meetings with aliens. Buzz Aldrin, one of the famous astronauts who visited the moon with Apollo 11, has made people even more curious about moon mysteries. Aldrin's interesting ideas are about strange things on the moon, especially on the side we need to learn more about. He has suggested there might be odd buildings or shapes that are hard to explain as natural things. According to Aldrin, these weird things could mean something more profound, like secret bases or objects from a lost civilization, maybe even from outer space. The moon's far side, also known as the dark side, is mysterious because it always faces away from Earth. This darkness makes people think about extraterrestrial creatures such as aliens hiding there. Aldrin's ideas have excited both fans and scientists. Even though there's no proof, Aldrin's history as an astronaut makes people take these ideas seriously. He's been to space and the moon, so he sees things differently. His suggestion to explore the far side of the moon has interested those who want to know more and has led to a closer look at moon pictures to find signs of buildings or other figures. Many people think they've seen tall buildings, bridges, and fancy buildings in moon pictures, but it's mainly because our brains like to see familiar shapes in random stuff, and that's called pareidolia. But when an astronaut like Aldrin talks about secret moon buildings, it makes the conversation more critical. People often argue about this, and both the people who believe it and those who don't always look at moon pictures for hints about things hidden on the far side of the moon. When Aldrin was on Apollo 11, he saw something strange in space, adding to the mystery of weird things on the moon. While flying through space, he noticed an odd object floating nearby. It moved in a way that made it seem controlled, and it felt natural. The astronauts didn't know what to do at first, but eventually, Aldrin told Mission Control. This story became necessary for people who study UFOs and aliens. Aldrin talking about what he saw, along with being an astronaut, started a lot of arguments and made people come up with many ideas. This whole thing reminds us how colossal space is, and there might be things we can't explain, even with our fancy tech. It's like a reminder that even though we know a lot, space still has many surprises and mysteries waiting for us. Buzz Aldrin and others talking about strange things on the moon and maybe meeting aliens make the moon even more enjoyable. Some people still have doubts, and there's no clear proof, but we're curious about this mysterious stuff. The more we explore outer space, the more we learn about the moon, which will change how we think about the universe. Space sickness and Aldrin's experience. Space, the great unknown, can be fascinating, but it comes with its problems. Space sickness, also called space motion sickness, happens in zero-gravity environments. It's when the brain gets mixed signals from the inner ear and the eyes. Astronauts can get space sickness, which messes with their balance and how they feel. It makes astronauts feel sick with symptoms like nausea, vomiting, dizziness, headache, fatigue, and loss of appetite. It's like getting seasick, but in space. While we know about it on Earth, Aldrin was the first person to have it in outer space during the Apollo 11 mission, and that's a big deal in space history. Aldrin got spacesick on the third day of the mission while doing tests in the Command Module Columbia. He was using a tool called the sextant for navigation and playing with things in zero gravity, but he felt dizzy and confused when he moved his head quickly or changed his position. This strange feeling made him tell Mission Control and his crewmates, Neil Armstrong and Michael Collins, about it. Even though he felt bad from space sickness, Aldrin managed it in several ways. He took medicine, rested, no sudden movements, ate crackers, and drank water to help his stomach. He didn't throw up, but he felt sick and uncomfortable for about 2 days. He worried about how this might affect the mission and what people might think, which made things even more difficult for him. Aldrin talked about his space sickness in interviews, documentaries, and his book to show he's human and not perfect. He did this to let people know what space travel is really like. It would also help future astronauts to deal with this and avoid space sickness. By admitting this, he pointed out how important it is to think about both the physical and mental parts of space exploration. Aldrin's dealing with space sickness is not just about his discomfort. It's a reminder that we need to keep looking into how space travel messes with our bodies and heads. Knowing about space sickness is super crucial to make sure astronauts are okay and can do their jobs on long missions. It is needed as we dream about exploring deep space and maybe even going to Mars. Aldrin's ability to power through space sickness shows how brave and adaptable astronauts are. They choose to tackle the tough parts of space, which is all about exploring what humans can do. Even though space sickness is a challenge, we can deal with it through research, getting prepared, and understanding how our bodies react to the weirdness of space. Buzz Aldrin getting space sick on Apollo 11 shows us how our bodies work in low gravity. Talking about this problem tells us how important it is to keep astronauts physically and mentally healthy. It is so that they can handle the hard parts of space travel. Learning from experiences like Aldrin's is super helpful for planning future space trips and understanding how humans do beyond Earth's atmosphere as we keep exploring space. Possibility of life on the moon. People have always wondered if there could be life on the moon. The moon's surface is rough and not very welcoming. It has made scientists think about the possibility of some kind of life being there in the past or maybe even now. But most scientists agree that it's probably impossible for the moon to have complex or many-celled life. Life as we know it needs certain things like water, organic stuff, energy, and the right temperature to survive. But the moon does not have all of that. It has no air or water on the surface, and the temperature goes to extremes, so it isn't a friendly place for life to start or grow. Without these things, it's unlikely that there would be life on the moon like we have on Earth. When it comes to life on the moon, we can think about it in two ways. 1. Life might have started on the moon. 2. Life could have been brought to the moon from somewhere else. Let's dive into the idea of life starting on the moon itself. The moon's conditions are rough, so it's probably not the best spot for life to kickstart. It's missing the correct stuff and processes for complex life to pop up. Even though some super tough microorganisms on Earth, called extremophiles, can survive in crazy places, the moon's surface is even more of a challenge. If there's any life on the moon, it's likely to be simple and hardy microorganisms like bacteria or fungi. They might find a way to survive in tiny and stable spots, maybe hiding in rocks or ice, where things aren't as crazy as they are on the moon's surface. So yeah, the moon isn't exactly a welcoming place for life to get going. Here's another idea. What if life didn't start on the moon but got there from somewhere else in the universe? It's like a cosmic road trip for life. There's this thing called panspermia, which says that life could hitch a ride across the universe on stuff like asteroids, comets, or interstellar dust. So maybe life on Earth or even the moon could have come from afar. If tiny living things or organic bits got a ride to the moon from space, they could be hiding deep within the moon's surface, away from all the tough conditions up top. It's like a secret hideout for space travelers. When we send our stuff to the moon, we might accidentally bring some Earth critters with us. Spacecraft and landers could carry the tiny Earth microbes, and they might end up on the moon's surface. It's like giving the moon a taste of Earth. Take the time the Israeli spacecraft Bereshit crashed on the moon in 2019. It had thousands of tardigrades, these super tough microscopic animals. People started wondering if these little guys could survive on the moon. So our moon might have some Earth visitors thanks to our space missions. Another intriguing thing, scientists found ice in the super dark and shady craters near the moon's poles. Water is needed for life like ours, so finding it on the moon is cool. It makes you wonder if there's a chance for life in those craters. However, there's a catch. Those places are crazy cold and barely get any sunlight, so it's like the moon's version of the freezer, and life would have a tough time surviving there. Even though the moon isn't great for complex life, the idea of simple life from far away or old cosmic stuff is still pretty fascinating. Scientists are curious about it, and as we learn more about these super tough life forms called extremophiles, we start thinking about where life could survive in a whole new way. So we keep exploring and studying, and who knows, we might find more moon secrets and maybe even figure out if there's life beyond Earth. In the big picture of the universe, the moon has seen it all and kept its secrets for ages. Our journey into moon mysteries, aliens, and life beyond Earth has been mind-blowing. From the weird lunar shapes to possible alien visits, we've gone on an epic adventure, not leaving any moon mystery behind. As we think about space and life in the universe's nooks and crannies, one thing is crystal clear: we're always hungry for knowledge. By figuring out moon riddles, we've not only learned more about space, but also sparked our never-ending curiosity. Looking up at the night sky reminds us that there's more to explore, more dreams to chase, and endless wonders waiting out there among the stars. Thanks for watching. Until next time.